Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Spencer versus Garner Smith.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Spencer, you're suing the defendant, your sister, for defaming your mother's name by now claiming Mr. Smith is her father.
That's right, Your Honor.
You say today's paternity results will prove he is not. Ms. Garner, you believe Mr. Smith is your biological father, even though he came into your life only years ago and never knew your mother was pregnant or that he could be your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Spencer, how has she defamed your mother? Explain that.
I believe that my sister is defaming my mother's name by making accusations that Mr. Smith is her father. All of our life, we have believed that this man right here, Lucius Kirkland, is the man that is Carmen's father. This is the man that my mother has said to be her father, and this is the man that I believe is her father. And I believe that today, with this DNA test, once it comes back, she will know that this is her father. My mother was a very strong-willed woman that spoke her mind, and I do not believe, Your Honor, that my mother would have left this earth without letting Carmen know who she belonged to. And by making these accusations, she's defaming who.
Well, I never made the accusations. I heard about him when I was in the 7th grade.
What did you hear in the 7th grade, Ms. Garner?
I was going to school. I was in the 7th grade, and there was a lady that came up to me, and she said, "I am your aunt," which would be his baby sister. So my mother was still living at that time. And I went home and I asked my mother about the accusations. And she told me these people was making it up. It wasn't true.
And in the whole, Your Honor, and may I interject to say, if she heard about that in the 7th grade, that would have made you how old, Carmen?
About 12 or 13.
And when did he come to you?
When I was 37 years old.
That means he thought about it when she was 12 or 13 too, Your Honor. That's when he should have stood up.
So, Ms. Garner, your mother told you when you approached her and said someone had said this to you, she said they're lying.
She said they're lying, they made it up. So
and you left it alone from there?
I left it alone from there. My mother died when I was 17 years old.
Okay.
She was 39 years old. She died from lupus. I had did an article in the newspaper when I was 37 years old. It was about being homeless and on drugs with a drug addiction. I had went to Lucius Kirkland's house to wash clothes. When I got back to the shelter, they said a man called and said he seen that article in that newspaper about you being homeless and on drugs, and he had called, Mr. Smith had called the shelter and told them that he was my father.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, Mr. Smith, you remember making that phone call?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Tell me what happened.
Well, after I was in the paper, in the Canton paper, I got a call from my oldest daughter that Carmen is is your daughter. I've started reading the paper, and then what happened was, then I started to try to communicate with her, with Carmen. This is 20 years later.
She saw the article.
Yes.
And called you.
Yes, ma'am.
And said, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did she believe that?
Because there been rumors that I was her father.
Did you hear those rumors through the years?
Yes, but her mom never said anything to me about it. She never even mentioned it. I'm not here to defame anybody, and I'm not here to deny my responsibilities.
Your Honor, I just want to speak on behalf of my mother who is not here. Now, I can understand that he say he heard, and he lived in a town called Alliance, and we live in a town called Canton. And Carmen's biological father, Lucius Kirkland, lives in a town called Massillon. With all those towns together, it is about 30 miles long. Everybody knows Andy, everybody knows Barney, and everybody's Aunt M is Aunt M. So if you heard this once before, why didn't you stand up then? Why would it take your grown daughter to come and tell you that that woman right there is your child based on an article in the paper? And even after that article ran, he still was a sit-down father. He hasn't stood up yet, but today he comes to stand, and today I come to prove the point that this man is her father.
So, Mr. Smith, I mean, Miss Spencer makes a point. If you'd heard those rumors over the years, but her mother had never said anything to you, you do remember her mother, am I correct?
Correct.
You remember having a sexual relationship with her?
Yes.
You were never told she was pregnant. You never even knew this.
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Now let's go back into this conversation. Because Carmen said when she was in the 7th grade, his younger sister said, "You are my niece." That means for another 7-year-old, a 7th grader, or maybe 9th grader, to approach a 7th grader to say, "You are my niece," that conversation was somewhere in y'all household. He lived in a
Well, I will say this, right or wrong, and you probably won't accept it because you've got your mind made up, but I've sat in this seat for a long time and helped a lot of families. It is not unusual. He says he didn't know. If he did know, it's not unusual, and we see very often, Jerome can attest to this, men in Mr. Smith's position that stay on the outskirts, even when they hear these rumors. Back in the day, I'm sure if she was in a relationship, like you said, or they had a family and Lucius was deemed to be her father, many people during those times would say, you leave well enough alone unless somebody comes say something to you. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
I never ever heard nothing about a Mr. Smith until Mr. Smith popped up and said that he may be.
After the article.
After the article had ran.
But I heard before that.
And
So,
I
Mr.
heard.
Smith, when you were with Ms. Garner's mother and Ms. Spencer's mother, did you remember her also being in a relationship with someone else? Lucius, anybody? Do you remember that?
Well, we dated for about a year.
Okay.
But at that particular time, Your Honor, I did not.
Okay.
If he dealt with her for a whole year, he had to have known something. You know, you don't just get a woman pregnant and then you don't see her no more. After a year, there's feelings. After a year, you call her every now and then. After a year, you see her every now and then. My mother hung out.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
They had to have some type of relationship. Babies don't fall out the sky.
They definitely don't fall out the sky. But this accusation right here, it fell from somewhere. It came up out of somewhere.
And that's why we're here today.
And
because it came up out of
then let's
somewhere.
open up this
and I
envelope.
want you to be
Let's get
okay. I want the rest of my sisters to be okay. What it does for me, if we're somewhere, because he has other children, 20 years ago, they embraced me. They say, this is our sister.
They did.
Yes, they
20 years ago.
Yes, but it's never been proven through DNA. So if we're somewhere, like maybe at an event, at a store, and they walk up and I say, well, this is my sister, Kathy. Kathy, this is my sister. And she'll walk away and might say, them ain't none of your sisters. You're crazy.
Your Honor, I never ever remember saying that none of them was her sister. At the end of the day and the beginning of the day, I'm worried about these accusations and the defaming of my mother's name.
I'm here because this is our mother.
That's correct.
And at the end of the day, all of y'all are my sisters. And I'm only here because there are other siblings involved. And I need to know, for me, you know, because a lot of time you'll look at me and say, well, what difference is it going to change? What is it going to change? It's going to change who my brothers and sisters are, or it's going to change who they are not. And that's why I'm here today. And that's why it's important to me.
So-
because y'all seem to always have a question of, why is it so important?
Because we've always had the same question,
It's
Carmen.
still important to me.
That you're always looking for love in all the wrong places. And once again...
I wasn't looking for no love.
And once again, here you are looking for
But I
some
wasn't
love.
looking for love, Kathy. I did an article on homelessness and drug addiction,
Ms.
which
Garner,
says need help.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe your mother cheated on the man that you knew to be your biological father?
I believe my mother was 20 years old, and if I can remember doing things when I was 20 years old, it could be very much so possible. For me to stand here and say, no, it never happened, and I know it didn't happen. Kathy was 8 years old when Mom died. I was 17, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
She has all these stories, and she sits down and she acts like Mother sat around like at a fire camp and told them all their business. She
Okay.
didn't do that.
Okay. So, Ms. Garner, you submitted pictures to the court. This is a split screen of you as a child And Lucius, Mr. Kirkland.
That's her dad, Your Honor. Look at those resemblance. Look at that nose. Look at that mouth. That is the man who I believe, when my mother made those accusations, Lucius went to jail whenever he did not pay. And this is only what they've told me. My mother did not play. She would have never sent a man to jail. If there was going to be a man go to jail, it would have been him for not paying child support. She wouldn't have did that to him knowing in her heart that Carmen did not belong to him.
But what if she didn't know in her heart? Because I believe when I was younger, you know, that was okay. But as I've gotten older, I can go places. They say, oh, you look just like Mr. Smith. We know who your dad is. This has nothing to do with me. I don't run around saying Mr. Smith is my dad. People walk up to me and say,
this comes to you is what you're saying.
yes.
That even when you're not looking for that level of
they'll
validation
say,
or information.
I know who your father is. You're Bubba Smith's daughter. I say, well, that's what they say. It hasn't been proven.
So,
no.
Ms. Spencer, let me ask you, why do you think, when you said earlier she's looking for love in all the wrong places, why do you feel like she is nurturing this relationship? Do you think she truly believes that this is her father?
I believe this is what she wants to believe. I believe that in life, you have a person, such as Carmen's father, who passed away, opposed to say that she's Alex's child, to say, I can follow behind him.
First of all, I don't need a father to follow behind. I have my own life to follow behind. And one thing for certain, and two for sure, if he turns out to be my father, I've had two great stepfathers. So I ain't looking for no dad, because I've been truly blessed in the father department.
Then
so I don't need to run around claiming no father.
Okay, if that's the case, then what are you looking for?
I'm looking for truth.
Okay.
That's
well,
what I'm looking for.
Then let's
today, I'm gonna get it.
Today.
That's what I'm looking for, and today, I'm gonna get it.
And
Because
today,
Ms. Spencer, you do understand. If you are just living your life and people keep walking up to you talking about, you look just like this person, you look like that person, you look like, and you remember as early as 7th grade someone telling you this, and you addressed it with your mother, you were told they were lies, but the seed had been planted. You know, there's a saying, you can't unring a bell. So when that happened, the bell was rung. And then these subsequent interactions, moments, only reinforce what she had heard as a child. And so her desire to have just the truth and to know once and for all, I think is very credible.
See, it started with an article about homelessness and drug addiction. Who claims that? Who just says, that's me and that's mine and I want to help it? That don't say Carmen hit $1 million lottery.
Okay.
That says need help.
Okay, so Your Honor, who claims that? Answer that question for me. Because if I had a child that I didn't know that was my child, and the article ran, and they said that they were needing help for whatever they needed help with, please answer me, what kind of help did he give her?
Mrs. Smith, did you help her?
Your Honor.
You called her, we know that.
Your Honor, I called her. Not only that, let me set the record straight here, please. I am 78 years old. I have 14 children. I took care of all of my children, 14 of them, and I'm not a deadbeat dad. I'm just slow and I take it easy and I don't say much. But when I found out this was my child, supposedly, that's why we're here today, I took her under my wings, and all of my children, they love her, and they know that.
Okay.
So I'm not here as a deadbeat dad. I'm here to set the record straight, Your Honor.
Your Honor, let's just get it over with.
With that said, are we ready for the results? Because I have them for you.
Yes,
we ready?
are.
All right. If you'd like to take a seat, anyone, I know this has been very emotional for everyone. If you'd like to take a seat, sir, ma'am, anybody, you're more than welcome. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Spencer versus Garner Smith, when it comes to 57-year-old Carmen Garner, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are her father.
Glory.
Thank God.
Judge, could I please say one more thing?
What would you like to say, sir?
I watch your show all the time. This is the gospel. I was watching your show, and the young lady called me, and I said, you know, I don't do that other stuff. I said, I'm watching Judge Lake. She said, oh, that's where you going. I said, well, let's go, you know, but before that, I wasn't going to go on no show. But God bless you, and I really love you.
Well,
And
thank you.
continue.
I will say this. This is a courtroom that takes family very seriously, children, and the truth. Ms. Spencer, you were so passionate today. And the bottom line is, what I saw between you two sisters is all that matters, is because as sisters, you can have disagreements, you can have whatever, it doesn't matter. You still family, and I love the fact that you embrace your sister lovingly, and I love the way you love her. If you feel like you want to talk something through, we have resources for you, our counselors, our psychiatrists, whatever you need. But this is a joyous day, and I'm so glad you all now know for sure. I wish you the very best of luck. Court is adjourned.
Thank you.